discussed the differential protection, current differential protection of various elements, and we have concluded that when you are using the current differential scheme for transformers, you have to connect the CTs on either side of transformer in opposite sequence. Okay, that means in a transformer there is a 30-degree phase shift from delta to star side and star to delta side. So, and moreover, the CT ratios that the CT ratios are also different when we implement a current differential scheme in the transformers, because the primary side rated current is different from the secondary side rated current. So these 2 points you have to remember when you are implementing current differential scheme for the transformers. Here in the diagram, you can observe that the primary side is delta connected, and the secondary side is star connected. Okay, so this is delta connected and this side is star connected, and star point is solidly grounded. So on the delta side, how the CTs are connected? Here the CTs are connected in how? They are connected in star. Here you can observe the CTs on star side are delta. Okay, so with this connection, what we are achieving, we are nullifying that 30 degrees phase shift effect. We are nullifying the 30-degree phase shift effect. Okay, so again, ID means it is an operating coil. Whatever we have indicated here is a operating coil. So this operating coil, through this operating coil, differential current will flow. We have already seen differential current will flow if this differential current exceeds pickup value, then relay will trip. Understand? So for the correct operation of transformer, differential protection requires the transformer primary and secondary currents as measured by the relay in phase. That means the currents that are flowing through the CTs should be in phase. Suppose this is, or if you don't properly choose the ratios, then the transformer will be continuously tripping. When you try to switch on the breaker, it will continuously trip, because there is a difference in the magnitudes and phase angles if you directly connect, if you connect the current differential scheme like an ordinary element, like stator winding of generator, bus bar, or for the motor winding protection. Okay, so next there is a question. A 3-phase 11 bar 66 kV delta star transformer is protected by merge price scheme, has a CT ratio of 400/5 on LT side. The CT ratio on HT side will be equal to. So what he is telling, there is a transformer. Okay, on the primary side, what is the voltage? 11 kV. Secondary 66 kV. Okay, so it is protected by the merge price scheme. That is, what is merge price scheme? Percentage differential current protection. The LT side CT ratio is how much? 400/5. The LT side CT ratio is 400/5. What is the HT side CT ratio? That is the question. Understand? That is the question. Okay. Now, again, if we look at, because it is primary is delta connected, secondary is star connected, so we can use the same image to evaluate this problem. Here, what is the CT ratio that he has connected? 400/5 on the LT side, because this is 11 kV side, this is 66 kV side. So on LT, he has connected a CT of 400 bar 5. Understand? Suppose if this carries a current of 400 ampere, then how much current will flow in the CT? The CT will carry 5 amperes. The CT will carry 5 ampere. So how much current will flow through the pilot wire? 5 ampere, 5 ampere. Understand? So if 400 ampere is the rated current on the primary, where the voltage is 11 kV, what will be the rated current on 66 kV? What will be the rated current for 66 kV? Here the voltage is stepped up by 6 times. So the current here will step down by 6 times. So the rated current for here will become 400 divided by 6 ampere. 400 divided by 6 ampere. So when there is no fault, the current through the operating coil should be how much? 0 ampere. For the 0 ampere to flow through this one, the current flowing through the pilot wire should be same. Okay. Here, he has already given the primary CT ratio is 400 bar 5. So let us assume 400 is the full load current on the primary side, that is delta side. So for 400 ampere, 5 ampere is induced and 5 ampere is flowing in the pilot wires from the delta side, from the 11 kV side. So when there is no fault, when the system is healthy, under normal conditions, the same 5 amperes should flow through the pilot wires on the HT side. On the HT side. Then, what should be the CT ratio here? Here, full load current is 400 ampere. Here, the full load current will become 400 by 6 ampere. Simple logic. If voltage increases by 6 times, current decreases by 6 times in a transformer. So, my primary current, the current flowing through the main conductor or the primary is 400 bar 6. And now I have to decide the ratio such that my pilot wires carry 5 ampere current. 5 ampere current. So out of delta, in a delta, if you recollect, in a delta winding, what is the condition? Your phase voltage and line voltage are same. Okay, but your phase current and line current are different. The line current, the current coming out here is the line current. Okay, the current flowing through the winding is the phase current. Here the relationship is I line is equals to I phase into root 3. So that means I phase will become how much? IL divided by root 3. Okay, and one more important point you have to remember, CT ratio, current transformer ratio is a phase to phase current ratio. Phase to phase current ratio. So here the primary phase is carrying 400 by 6 ampere current. What is the phase current in the CT? What is the current in the secondary of the CT such that the 5 ampere should come out of it, or 5 ampere should flow through the line? So definitely here it should be 400 by 6 divided by the phase current will become 5 divided by root 3. So this is your CT ratio. Understood? So this value turns out to be 23 by 1. So this is one of the standard question which they will ask on the transformer differential protections. Okay. Anyways, or shall I explain it again?
Once more, sir.
Once more. Where you are finding difficult, you tell me.
The delta connection.
Okay. See, leave about star, delta and everything. When you are implementing any differential scheme, suppose this is the stator winding, let us stator winding of the alternator. So to protect this, I am implementing the differentials. This is one CT and this is one CT. I have connected this and I have connected it like this. Okay. This is my relay operating coil. Suppose when there is no fault, When there is no fault, how my system will function? Here the current through will be, say, 500 ampere. Here also the current going out is also 500 ampere. So my CT, let us say 500 bar 5, 500 bar 5. Okay. Now tell me how the currents will flow. Here 5 ampere will flow, and here also 5 ampere will flow. So this 5 ampere will go like this. Okay. Now, if you apply KCL here, how much current will flow through the relay operating coil? Tell me how much current will flow through the relay operating coil? 0. So under healthy condition, the current differential scheme we have to implement such that the relay carries 0 current. That is the basic idea of any current differential scheme. When there is any fault, the relay will carry some current. If it is greater than pickup value, then the system will trip. Okay. When the element is simple, straightforward, like a motor winding, generator winding, bus bar, the scheme is very simple. Because the same magnitude current and same phase current will flow through the two ends of the element. Two ends of the element. Here the element can be generator winding, motor winding, or a bus bar. Where the CT ratios are same, when the system is healthy, the same currents will flow through the either end of the element. But when I use the same scheme for transformer, there is some difficulty. There is some difficulty. What is the difficulty? In a transformer, there is a physical disconnection between the two sides. Okay, primary side, secondary side, the same current will not flow first point. There is a difference in currents. And second point is that there is additional difficulty because of the nature of connection, delta and star, star and delta. Okay, so if you study transformers, you will come to know there is a phase shift between voltages and currents in a delta to star and star to delta transformers by 30 degrees. That means delta side voltages lead the star side voltages by 30 degrees, and reverse will happen with the currents. Okay, so to nullify this effect, what we are doing to nullify that 30-degree phase shift effect, on delta side CTs are connected in star, and on star side the CTs are connected in delta. So one problem is eliminated. The second issue is how to select the ratios, how to select the CT ratios. CT ratio should be selected such that when you implement the current differential scheme, under normal healthy conditions, the pilot wires should carry same current. The pilot wires should carry same current. Understand? So here my question is that the primary side voltage is 11 kV, which is delta connected side. Secondary side voltage is 66 kV. Okay, so there is a step up of 6 times. And here which CT he has connected? 400 bar 5 CT he has connected. 400 bar 5 CT. Let us assume the primary full load current is 400. To make our calculation simple, we are assuming that the full load current in the primary of the transformer is 400 ampere. Okay. So when the primary current is 400, we know that the MVA rating of transformer is same, that is √3 into 11 kV into 400 ampere is same as √3 into 66 kV into the current on the secondary side. So which implies from this base simple logic we are going to get I3 as how much? √3 cancel, it will become 400 divided by 6, so many ampere. This is the full load current on secondary, 400 divided by 6 ampere. This is the current. Understand? Now, I have to select a CT ratio such that when my system is healthy, when no issue is there, the current that is coming in the pilot wire, here how much current is coming in this pilot wire? When 400 ampere is flowing in the primary, because it is phase to phase ratio, here phase current here is 400 ampere, so here phase current will be 5 ampere. So this 5 ampere current is flowing through this pilot. Now I have to select the CT ratio such that from this side also 5 ampere should flow. Here the current should be 5 amp. Now this current, after coming here in a delta, this is the phase current. It splits into two phase currents. Okay. Now the phase current that is flowing in this winding, here it would be, what is the line current? Line current is 5 ampere. What should be phase current? By root 3. It should be by root 3. Understand? In delta, line current equal to root 3 times phase current. So phase current will become line current divided by root 3. So here the current that flows in this one will be how much? 5 by root 3. 5 by root 3. So my primary phase current is 400 bar 6. My secondary phase current is 5 by root 3. So my CT ratio will become 400 divided by 6. And this is 5 divided by root 3, whose values you are coming it as 23. Understand? Okay. The next is the transformer protection. So generally the transformer suffers from following types of transformer faults. The first type of faults we encounter are overcurrents due to overloads and external short circuits. Okay, overcurrent faults due to overloading of the transformer. That means when you load more than its capacity, so definitely it will carry the currents more than their rated currents. And external short circuit. Sir, what is the meaning of this word external short circuit? Short circuit that is happening outside the transformer. Outside the transformer. Okay, those are called external short circuits. Okay, there are short circuits that can happen inside the transformer also. Okay, suppose if the transformer winding gets short circuited with the body, that is one problem. Or inside the transformer, one winding is getting short circuited with the other winding. So those are internal short circuit faults. If the short circuit faults occur outside the transformer, that is on the load side or towards the source side, then they are called external short circuit faults. Now, terminal faults. Terminal means the terminals getting short circuited, winding faults, and incipient faults. Okay. So winding terminal faults are also very important, because in a transformer, if you see, there will be a big terminal box. So here, if you can see here, the terminal box is not shown. So in the terminal box, what will happen? The big bushings are connected. The terminal bushings are connected like this. In that bushing, the conductor will come. Okay, so this is all body. Like this, the three bushings will come. Tomorrow I will show the image. Suppose if this bushing fails, or something gets connected to this body, this is a box. The box voltage is 0. Understand? The terminal voltage, if it is suppose a 33 kV transformer, this voltage is 33,000 divided by root 3. Okay. So if this terminal and this terminal gets short circuited, that is one fault. If the bushings fail, that is one more fault. Like this, there will be many kind of faults inside the terminal box of the transformer. So there can be terminal faults, winding faults, incipient faults, or external short circuit faults or overload faults. All these are the 5 types of faults that can occur in the transformer. All the above mentioned transformer faults causes mechanical and thermal stresses inside the transformer winding and terminal connections. Thermal stresses lead to overheating, which ultimately affect the insulation of the transformer. Okay. See, any fault, any short circuit fault, first effect is, the first one is overheating. We have already discussed in fault analysis. The two major effects of short circuit fault is, one is the extreme heat dissipation. Second one is extreme mechanical forces that try to physically damage the equipment. So overheating will damage the insulation of the system. Once the insulation is deteriorated, once the insulation becomes porous, then the frequency of these winding faults will increase. Every sixth month or every 3 months you will keep on getting the faults. Understand? The other thing is failure of cooling mechanism. Failure of cooling mechanism also leads to overheating of transformer. So failure of cooling means, in normal transformers which you see, you use oil as a coolant as well as insulation. But when you go for high rating transformers, there are different mechanisms to keep the transformer cool. So if the cooling mechanism, that is water circulation is there, SF6 circulation is there, or oil circulation is there, so something is being circulated to dissipate the heat of the transformer. Suppose if that cooling mechanism fails, then also transformer gets overheated, which will also lead to insulation failure. Okay. Now next is, what are incipient faults? Incipient fault are the internal faults which constitute no immediate hazard. So it is a slowly developing fault. Incipient faults means slowly developing fault. So these incipient faults immediately may not cause any hazard, but if you leave it unnoticed, if you don't notice that fault, gradually it will accumulate and lead to some major fault. It will lead to major fault. Understand? What are the incipient faults that mainly occur in transformer? The lamination between one winding and another winding may get short circuited, because every winding is laminated and wound on the transformer core. When you learn the transformer construction, you will see that the core is made up of CRGO, cold rolled grain oriented, and again over which the windings are wound, and each winding is laminated. Because one winding is, first you will put one winding and then you will put some lamination, again you will put some other winding. So if the lamination between the winding interlamination, the lamination between the two windings get short circuited, then this will lead to the failure or damage of the core lamination. Second is, if the oil level inside the transformer tank decreases. If the oil level inside the transformer tank decreases because of the leakage or because of the pipeline blockage, it is also incipient fault. Okay. The third one is the earth fault very near to the neutral point of the earth fault very close to the star point of the star winding. Suppose if the transformer one side is star connected, definitely we will have neutral. If the short circuit occurs at the neutral point, then also it is also a slow developing fault or incipient fault. Okay. So for this incipient slow developing faults are detected and isolated by using a relay called Buchholz relay. Buchholz relay. Okay. So this is the image of Buchholz relay. The Buchholz relay is connected between the conservator tank. This is called conservator tank. Conservator tank, which is filled with oil, So this is the pipeline that is connecting conservator tank and the main tank. This is the main tank. Understand? So the Buchholz relay is connected in the pipeline that is connecting conservator tank and main tank. Understand? So this Buchholz relay help us to detect the incipient or slow developing faults. Okay. Now, so this is the main tank, the pipe that is connected to main tank. This is to the conservator tank, and it is also filled with transformer oil. Transformer oil. Transformer oil is a highly refined mineral oil. Highly refined mineral oil. Okay. So under normal healthy conditions, this is the healthy condition. Here you can observe that this is the it is connected to transformer main tank, it is connected to conservator tank. Under healthy conditions, the Buchholz relay is completely filled with oil. Completely filled with oil. With the transformer oil. Okay. So inside Buchholz relay, this is the vent valve. This is something called as vent valve. Suppose if air bubbles are there, if you want to remove, we'll just slightly open this. Here also there will be one more valve which is not shown in the figure. It is a drain valve. Drain valve. If you want to remove all the oil, then you can use the drain valve to remove. Okay. And most importantly, there are two mercury switches. This is one mercury switch. This is one mercury switch. So this is how the mercury switch will be there. Okay. So whenever there is a signal, that means whenever the gas inside the Buchholz relay increases, gas increases. So what happens here? This mercury switch, it will tilt like this. It will tilt in some direction, and then the two contacts, if you can carefully observe, the two terminals are connected to two contacts here. I will show in green. So this is one contact and this is one contact which are now isolated. Once this mercury switch senses the gas bubbles, they will get attached. They will get attached. So once they get attached, it will give some signal. So first the top mercury switch will give alarm signal. That means when only less volume of gas is present inside the Buchholz relay, then it will give you alarm. When the gas quantity inside the Buchholz relay increases, then the second mercury switch, it will close and it will give the trip command. This will give trip command. Understand? That is how they operate. So basically, you have to remember Buchholz relay is connected between conservator tank and main tank. Okay, it contains two mercury switches. One mercury switch will give alarm, the other mercury switch will give trip command. Okay, so when the gas level starts increasing inside the Buchholz relay, then first it will give alarm. If further the gas level increases, gas bubbles increases, then it will give trip command. So why this gas is formed? What is the reason? Transformer oil is highly refined mineral oil which has excellent cooling and insulation properties. This oil is used for main two purposes. One is cooling and other is for the insulation. Okay, so oil is connected between the transformer body and the windings. So it is acting as insulation as well as coolant. Okay, whenever some internal spark happens because of lamination short circuit, winding short circuit, or any other fault, whenever some spark occurs inside the transformer, it will evaporate oil. It will evaporate transformer oil. Okay. So for 1 ml of transformer oil evaporation, it will produce 1000 ml of gas. Okay, if 1 ml of transformer oil gets evaporated, converted from liquid state to gaseous state, it will produce 1000 ml of gas. Okay, in the 1000 ml of gas, 70% is hydrogen. Okay, so this gas, whenever short circuit happens, so here you can observe the gas bubbles are flowing from transformer to the Buchholz relay. The gas is flowing from the transformer to the Buchholz relay. So what happens, this gas, it will occupy the space on top of the Buchholz relay. This white portion is occupied by gas, and at the bottom you can see transformer oil. So once the gas level comes up to this level, that means this plunger, this bob, what it will happen, it will tilt the limit switch and it will give the alarm. It will give the alarm. If further the gas level increases beyond this limit, then what will happen? It will give trip command. It will give trip command. Understand? So Buchholz relay is also called gas operated relay. Gas operated relay. Okay, it operates with the gas that is produced by the evaporation of the transformer oil. Okay, it is the only relay that acts before the fault. Before the major fault, it will detect the slow developing fault and it will give the alarm and trip command. Understand? All other relays act after the fault. It is the only relay that acts before the fault. That is about the Buchholz relay. Okay. So any doubt in Buchholz relay? Hello?
No, sir. No doubt, sir.
No doubt, sir.
Okay. One more important relay that we use in the transformer is the overflux relay. Overflux relay. So if you recollect the voltage induced in the transformer, can someone tell me what is the voltage induced in transformer? Voltage induced in a transformer, it is equal to some constant into phi flux density, maximum flux, peak flux density into frequency. Understand? Frequency into number of turns. Number of turns is however constant. Now the flux inside the core is directly proportional to, or you can directly write the flux is equals to some constant into V divided by F. V divided by F. Understand? So the transformer core is designed such that it can accommodate some maximum amount of flux. Okay, the transformer core can accommodate some certain maximum amount of flux. Okay, if you supply more flux than its capability, it will get saturated. It will get saturated. So the flux in the transformer core is given by some constant multiplied by voltage applied in the primary divided by the frequency. Understand? Now, if voltage increases or if frequency decreases, the flux inside the transformer core increases, which will oversaturate the transformer. Which will oversaturate the transformer core. Coming back to this, so a transformer is designed to operate at or below maximum flux density. So every transformer core has some maximum flux density. Understand? So if the transformer flux increases above its maximum flux density, what will happen? The eddy currents in the core or nearby conducting devices will cause overheating and severe damage to the transformer. Okay, if you saturate the transformer core, what is the danger? The eddy currents are induced, and not only in the transformer core but also in the surrounding conducting devices, which will cause overheating. Simple layman's language, the core losses of the transformer increases. Okay, how the flux in the transformer core increases with increase in the voltage. That means if you are applying voltage on the primary side, if you apply more than the rated value, or if the supply frequency is less. So the flux in the transformer core, as you can see here, the flux in the transformer core will increase by either increase in voltage or reduction in the frequency. When a transformer core is overexcited means when you apply more voltage, the core starts operating in the non-linear magnetic region and creates harmonic components in the exciting current. So when you apply over voltage to the transformer, that means when you apply more voltage than its rated voltage, the core of the transformer gets saturated. In such case, what will happen? The charging current of the transformer contains mainly fifth harmonic component. So second point is that normally you can excite the transformer core to 110% of its rated value. That means you can 10% overload. That means if the magnetic flux capacity is say 100 Weber, just for example, then you can accommodate up to 110 Weber, 10% more than its peak value. Above 110%, if the flux inside the transformer core increases, then you have to trip the transformer. Understand? So transformer core can tolerate overflux for some short duration. Hence, the overflux relay need not have the instantaneous tripping. Instantaneous relay is that relay that will immediately, once it crosses 110% of the flux, it will immediately trip. But however, what happens here, since the transformer core can accommodate the overflux for some short interval of time, we need not give the immediate instantaneous tripping. We can provide some inverse tripping. That means we can use the inverse type of characteristics for tripping of the transformer core. Understand? So these are the features of overflux relay. So the first point which you have to remember, the flux inside the core of transformer is directly proportional to V and F, where V is the excitation voltage, or the other name is primary supply voltage. In a transformer, you will supply primary voltage, right? That is the primary voltage. Okay. And F is the supply frequency, the frequency of the voltage which you are supplying it to the supply frequency. Okay. So when transformer core will be saturated, either when you increase the voltage or when you decrease the frequency, then the transformer core will be saturated. So once it gets saturated, we have seen that some effects will happen. Okay. For example, to make you understand what is saturation, I'll give one simple example. Let us assume this is a transformer. Okay. So let us assume its transformer is a 33 bar 11 kV. 33 bar 11 kV transformer. So initially I am applying, suppose I am applying 3 kV, then what will be the output? Can someone tell for 3 kV what will be the output of the transformer? 1 kV. Okay. Now I'll apply 6 kV. What will be the output? 2 kV. Likewise, if I apply 27 kV at the primary, what will be the secondary voltage? 9 kV.
9.
Understand? So when my voltage increased to 30 kV, when my output is 10 kV, the transformer core saturated. Transformer core saturated. So once the transformer core saturated, now I am applying my voltage as 33 kV. Since my transformer core is saturated, my secondary voltage will be fixed at 10 kV. Even if I apply 36 kV, my output is only 10 kV. Because the transformer core saturated. Now no longer the charging current is proportional to flux. Flux is saturated. Understood? This is how the effect of saturation will affect. Okay. This is a very dangerous situation. Why? Because the complete CT operation, PT operation, transformer operation, we assume they are having the constant voltage transformation ratio, and we have decided and we have devised complete protection schemes, because all protection schemes operate on what? CTs and PTs. We are assuming that the CTs and PTs are properly stepping down the voltage and currents, and we are designing the protection. So if the transformer CT and PT and normal transformer core saturates, then complete switchgear and protection will become blunder. Okay, so overflux relay is very important. Very important. The second point which I want to tell you is that how you compute the overflux relay. Let us take a 220 kV transformer, 220 kV bar, 66 kV transformer. Okay. So you have connected PT on the primary side. So 220 kV voltage you will apply for the PT primary, and what would be secondary voltage? Secondary voltage 110 volt. 110 volt is your secondary voltage. Because PT secondary is always, this is 220 by root 3, this is 110 by root 3. So for 220 you will get 110 volt. If your frequency is say 50 hertz, then your V by F ratio will become how much? Of a PT, 110 volt divided by 50 hertz, 2.2 constant. Okay. So if my voltage by frequency ratio of my PT secondary is 2.2, my system is healthy. So what I am trying to tell is, this is 220 kV line. It is the primary. Here you have connected a secondary to a overflux relay. So here what it will do, it will divide the ratio of the voltage that is coming here by the frequency. Okay. So if the primary voltage is 220 kV divided by root 3, my secondary voltage is 110 volt divided by root 3, PT secondary. So 110 volt, I am taking line to line voltage. So 110 divided by 50 is 2.2. Suppose if your voltage increases to say 257 kV because of some fault, then it will become what? Approximately this value also increases. So this will become how much? 257 divided by 220 into 2.2. This V by F ratio will become. So this value, if it exceeds 2.42, that is 120% of V by F ratio, then we will give the tripping command. Okay. So under normal conditions, the V by F ratio should be 2.2 in a PT. The threshold value is 10%, 110% of this value will be how much? 2.42. So if it is below this value, no problem. But if this V by F ratio increases beyond 2.42, then the overflux relay will trip. That is the philosophy.